welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today I have Beth Basham, and I am so excited to share with you her amazing success story inside High Ticket Empress. Okay, so Beth, welcome. Tell us a little bit about you and your business.
Thanks, Tara. So yeah, my name is Beth. I am the founder and CEO of Healthy by Design. I'm a food freedom coach. So I'm a registered dietitian, but I really focus on supporting women heal their relationship with food and body.
Amazing, amazing. So give us the highlight that happened for you inside of High Ticket Empress, at least to date.
Well, just recently I experienced my first 18K month. It was in about 30 days, I made $18,000. So that has been a pinnacle for me for sure.
Amazing, amazing. So we're going to get into like where you were before you joined. And then that was your most recent success. So that's why we wanted to hop on and do this video to kind of capture that, because it's such a great milestone, and it's just such amazing success. So congratulations. Honestly, you put a lot of hard work into that. And so now you're reaping the rewards, which is amazing.
Yeah, it feels great. It really does.
That's awesome. So tell us where you were just before you started your online coaching business.
Yeah, so I have always been an entrepreneur in my heart. So I've tried starting businesses. This was probably in the past couple of years. It was my third attempt at starting a business as a private practice dietitian. But I knew that, I have a husband in the military. We move pretty frequently. And I knew that I wanted to bring my business online. I wanted to make things more automated and a little bit more of a flow, because I knew as a spouse moving around the country, I wanted a business that I could take with me. So that's kind of a little bit of the backstory that got me into the online world. So if we go backwards to early 2020, I'd made that decision. I'm going to go online. I'm going to do everything online. I'm going to act more as a coach. And so my love for mindful and intuitive eating was sparked. And I thought, gosh, I'm going to create a course, right? Like everyone's in course creation. I heard all these statistics that courses are blowing up. And I'm like, I want to ride that train. So I had hired a coach at the early part of 2020, and I was all excited and built my program, spent hours upon hours in ClickFunnels learning how to build funnels and run integrations. I mean, it was just insane amounts of work. And I created my first course, and it was super fun. So I don't know how much more you want me to share, Tara.
Yeah,
or if you
I was going to ask you next about like that first launch you did and how you did.
Yeah. So, well, the course itself took me 4 months to create, and I ran a beta with a few of my clients that I'd recently served for free. I gave it away, and that was one thing that in hindsight I probably would have done differently, because I'm realizing as people invest in their health and their success, like they actually perform better. But that's a whole nother thing. I did this free beta program. It took me months to create this program for the beta. And then when I put it on the market, I was selling it for $297. Actually, initially I sold it for $197 because I was just like, oh, $297 feels so expensive. And I want everyone to be able to access, this program. And once I launched, I had a small email list at the time. Once I launched, I got 3 sales. So effectively, I made almost $1,000, just shy of.
Yeah.
But if I looked at the previous months of work that I put in, Tara, I mean, hours, heart and soul, dedicated hours, going through the trainings, learning all these tools for success. It was kind of a kick to the stomach to realize I was only making like $1 or $2 an hour if I spread that money out over the number of hours it took me to create that program.
Wow. And I think so many women are experiencing exactly that. There's this feeling of, a little bit of insecurity and not knowing how to price something and wanting to go online and create a course and then price it low. And what I love that you experienced kind of rather quickly, because you went for it, was the other kind of side of that, which was after you went through all the hard work to learn everything and sell it, you only got 3 people and less than $1,000, times 197 and 297. And then you're getting paid like way less than even minimum wage. So this was not the dream you signed up for, right?
No. No, and can I add, Tara, too? Like, I was selling this course as kind of a do-it-yourself course, and the work that I do, and I know the work you do, gosh, to see that transformation and that to see a person through does require more intimate support.
Right.
So that was also not gratifying for me, just putting this course out there and then hoping and wishing that they actually move through the materials. I don't know how many courses I've personally bought that have zero support, and they're just like taking up space on my desktop. Still
Well,
to this day, I have a few, admittedly.
me,
So
me too. Totally. I love that. And what someone might be thinking too is, well, that's why I do one-on-one coaching. So tell us why one-on-one coaching or trading, right? Like what you do for sessions, that's essentially what you were getting out of as a registered dietitian, right? You're
mhm.
super qualified, have a master's degree, but knew that like giving sessions per hour was not going to be the way either.
No, and prior to me, that choice to go online, I was seeing patients one-on-one, working with another doctor who was sending me referrals, charging my hourly rates. But if I looked and again broke down the number of time I spent on my patients before sessions, after sessions, writing notes, all that stuff, all the admin, the questions, recruitment of the new patient, all of
Right.
those things. I was charging $100 an hour for a session with me, but if I looked at the number of hours I dedicated to that patient, I mean, I was making less than what a dietitian with my level of expertise should be making.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't sustainable. I knew that it wouldn't put bread on the table for my family. So,
Yeah. And also
um,
allow you to be a present mom, which, because like that obviously matters to you, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So time freedom and creating leverage was really important. So we'll get into, so the low ticket course didn't work. And
Mhm.
that's sort of like what brought you to us, right? So like, tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
how that happened.
So, I mean, I'm a believer in divine intervention. I really am. And had a bad habit of getting on my phone first thing in the morning. But guess who? I was scrolling in my Facebook feed and I saw Tara's ad, her Facebook ad. And I had the house was quiet. I still remember this, Tara. It's so funny. And I watched your presentation that you had about, selling high ticket and doing this kind of group coaching model. And there was just something in my heart that was like, that that resonates for me because it helps me fulfill not only my personal wish and hope to be of service to others,
Yeah.
to really support people on their journey, because my 297 do it yourself on your own pace course didn't accomplish that. So there wasn't that like deeper sense of purpose that was fulfilled, but
Right.
also just this idea that, oh my gosh, I could nourish fewer clients for more money than trying to like kill myself trying to do a whole bunch of one-on-one sessions and just barely getting by. So I was drawn to that. I was magnetized to that idea. And that's what, when I got on the call with your sales team, I was just like, I'm not gonna buy this. It's gonna be way too expensive, right?
Mhm.
But there was something in my heart that was just like, if I don't do this,
Mhm.
I'm never gonna see the results that I want if I don't show up for myself and step into this next level for myself, then it will never happen. So,
Well, do you remember like what was the biggest doubt about whether that would work for you?
oh yeah, well, just making the investment back, I think I had enough money I had just had enough money in my bank account to pay for the program. And I felt like, oh, that was kind of another, again, divine intervention. Like the money's there. You don't have to pull out a line of credit. Just do this. That was huge. But I did, of course. I mean, I think that's only normal when you're leveling up, when you're advancing yourself and improving yourself. Like you have to get out of your comfort zone to get better.
Yeah.
And that was out of my comfort zone to be spending money on a coach. I hadn't spent money on a coach like that. The previous coach I had was like, again, very low touch, a lot of do it yourself coursework kind of things. Not that that was bad, but I was like ready to talk to a human about my business
Right.
and what I like to see my blind spots. And I
Right.
knew that's what the next level of coaching I needed. And you provided that. And I was like, that's what I'm here for. So
Amazing. Amazing. I love it because I think so many people can relate, when you're on the other side of coming inside, obviously, there's all these things that go through your mind. And number one, probably being, will I make my investment back? Because it is an investment, and like, I want to get into what your experience inside and what you learned and how this all happened. But looking back, you mentioned, the money was there for you, but what would you say to the woman where she does have to go find the money or find the credit? Like now that your $18,000 months are happening, right? And there's been a lot more. I mean, I don't even know what your total revenue is since you joined, but what would you say to her? Because I look back on $50,000 investments I made now, and I'm like, I was petrified, and I have to, take a loan or something, and it's like, oh, I would do that all over again. I would never have seen
Yeah.
the success that I have.
Yeah, yeah, they say the transformation is in the transaction, and I think that that would play a role here. When you invest in yourself, and this is an investment, it's not money you're throwing away. When you make that decision for yourself, you get to step into a new form of power for yourself. I think it's a really empowering thing. Yeah, as scary as, all can be, like, especially if you've never invested that kind of money in yourself before. But what a
Right.
beautiful step of empowerment that I felt like. I was like, wow, this is on. And you know me, Tara, I am a tenacious, I listen to every video and every piece of training like 3 times over, because I was like, because I invested in myself, I'm going to get so much out of this. I made a decision, right? Clarity comes in the decisions we make. I made a decision that I was going to get the most out of this because I made this investment in myself. So I think when a woman is deciding, wow, this is maybe an investment, that I might have to stretch a little bit and find some way to make this happen,
Mhm.
do it, because you make the decision to, you will make the investment back. Like, choose that before, choose it, and it will come for you.
Exactly. I remember many times actually you having the challenges that so many of us face in this process. And, you would always leave saying, I'm making this happen. Like, this is happening. I will make this happen. So, it is that. It is like, and part of it is because you had to part with a bunch of money, to invest in yourself, right? It kind of makes you beholden to yourself as well. You're like, I will do this and reap the rewards. But what I love is that then you're not just making what happens, right? For all of our students, pretty much, is that you don't just make your investment back. You now have a skill that will go on and can make you
Mhm.
tens of hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars potentially. You know what I mean? So it's like when you look at the investment relative, it's really nothing. But I know in that moment
Yeah.
for all of us, it feels like a huge thing to step into.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was absolutely worth every single penny. And I would have done it. I would do it all over again, I should say.
Amazing. I love it. It's like a love story. So, okay, tell me just a couple things that you learned that stand out to you, like your experience inside the program itself.
Oh, wow. Okay. So there's probably a lot I could share, but I'll just hit on the ones that kind of come up front for me. So the emotional mastery was a huge component for me. I knew that's why I wanted to work, more intimately with a coach, like we get to work with you, Tara. But having that person to look at your blind spots and help you move through the emotions of being an entrepreneur was so freaking powerful. I still experience ebbs and flows, but I hear Tara's voice in my mind, and she's like, "Don't let it mean anything, Beth. Don't let it mean anything."
Yeah.
When someone says no on a sales call or whatever, like,
Right.
practicing that and becoming that
Right.
entrepreneur who can feel more neutral about her business, because I was like this, woo woo, and and that wasn't working for me. That was not producing the results that I needed. And I feel like if I look at myself a year ago before I joined you, Tara, my mastery of my emotions has accelerated so
Oh,
much.
oh,
Power. Yeah. Like, whether you want to call them wounds or you want to call them, habits of thought, it doesn't matter. Like, when the emotional mastery was huge for me. And then that I get chills when I say it, because it was so critical for me to take those leaps to say, "Oh, I'm charging blank on the phone," and just so that would be number 2, learning how to handle objections and run a sales call. That in and of itself is worth the investment.
yeah.
I'm still getting better. You hear Tara in my head, certain aspects of my calls, but my close rate, when I started, I moved my price from 297 to 3,000. Oh, big shift, right?
Yeah,
Huge
yeah,
shift.
yeah.
And emotionally, I needed that mastery to like contain that and hold that for myself and the client on the other end of the phone. But also, I mean, it just was really powerful for me to move through that script and have ways of dealing and handling the objections on the other line. Now, initially, like I said, my close rate was probably like 20%, 10 or 20%. In the beginning of this year, so we're almost into the second quarter, or are we? No, yeah, we are.
Yeah,
But time is moving so fast. I mean, my close rate is much closer to 50%.
which is amazing.
Yeah. So, and
Amazing.
that feels so good. And when someone says no, I'm like, bless you. Whereas before I was like, oh, I'm a terrible human, like it's about me. What am I not doing right? And now
Right.
I'm like, I give them back to whomever it is that's meant to support them. It just feels so good to bring someone to a solid yes or no on the phone and just move on. It doesn't have to mean anything. So I would say those are the top two. There's so much more, Tara. I mean, just the community, your private, the space of women that I can have connected with. I mean, I've made friends in there that, I mean, just it's incredibly supportive to have other sisters going along this journey with you, holding you, supporting you, even to this day. Like I still get support from you all.
Yeah.
So it's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, thank you. I think those are great highlights. Obviously, like when you came in, you followed our beta process, which you charge high ticket for, which is amazing. So, we often say on our sales calls, 98% of our students sell their first high ticket program within the first month because we walk you through a beta process that allows you to bump your price at least to 2,500 or 3,000 right out of the gate. And then you start practicing at that level. And then from there, right, you're charging more now. You can start bumping your price as you build confidence. You know how to close, or you know how to, sell your program. You're able to handle objections more, and you start having that group program. So now you're hosting a group program, right? Like you have
Hmm.
one coaching call a week with all of your clients.
Hmm.
So you don't have
And
a million coaching calls.
no, and it actually, yeah, it's actually been really beautiful. I was a little nervous about that. Because I'm like, oh, how can I support, so many women? As I think I have like right now 12 in my program currently. And I'm
Amazing.
like, oh, how do I handle that? But you do. And it's powerful. I mean, what the women are getting out of my group coaching is probably more, I believe, and there's actually research that shows that women heal in community. Like
Yes.
if you look at community models of healing, even in like the clinical world, and that's kind of where I got this idea that group coaching was awesome, because
Yeah.
there's actually research showing that the benefit that patients or clients receive from that group space where they can be held by their peers who are experiencing the same thing as them is more powerful than working with people one on one.
Yes.
So,
I'm covering
right?
that in my book because I feel so strongly about that. So many women have that barrier like you had, like, how's that going to work? How am I going to lead a group? How am I going to coach? Are they really going to get the right, the best results, right? Because they don't have me just one on one. But from just being inside, you never write our program. You never feel like you don't get your individual questions answered, right? Like
Right.
you are seen, we know your business, and you're also then with other women and they can see you, witness you. So and we absolutely know now that people get better and faster results in mastermind groups, or that kind of format amongst their peers. Some are behind them, some are in front of them. It's
Hmm.
actually great. Like it's actually perfect and supposed to be that way.
Yeah. 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 And I was skeptical because of the way that I run, I'm a health, I work on health and wellness. And I was like, oh, is that going to work for people? But wow, is it so powerful?
Yeah.
So
I
I
love
just, yeah,
Yeah, I love that you said that because a lot of people that come to us too, they wonder if it will work for them because they're not,
yeah.
in a business development program or whatever. So I love that. I love that. Okay, so and finally, we'll wrap it up in just a few minutes. But what's your life like now? Like you are a mom, right? And you have a family. What and you're running your business. You have one coaching call a week with all of your students or clients, and then you're closing new deals, and you had your 18K month recently. So what's life like now? And I guess what are you looking forward to this year?
Yeah, no, so life is great because I can actually pay myself for the first time. I've paid myself more this year than I did in the previous two, as a struggling entrepreneur. So it just feels really good. Of course, I reinvest in my business and different aspects of it, including Facebook ads and things like that. But I'm actually looking at my bank account and like, wow, I can actually give back to my family. And I hadn't done that. So I have to tell you, my husband being incredibly supportive, it just feels so good to be like, hey, babe, I'm putting $2,000 in our account today,
Nice.
and I can tell he gets excited too. So it's allowed us to, just feel a little bit freer. We're going to go on vacation next week. And it's just like, my
Oh,
business paid for
amazing.
this, just little things. And I'm not here to make, I'm here to impact,
Yeah.
through service, and also like have that exchange of feeling good. And money can help with that. So,
100%.
um,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally.
So
That's
yeah.
amazing. Anything final you would say to someone who is, thinking of joining us and is not sure about the program or working with us and our team? Anything you would say to them?
I would say, like tap in for just a minute. You don't have to dwell on this, but tap in. Are you ready for your next level? I think that's the question that that's the question I ask when I'm on a sales call, sometimes. Are you ready to get unstuck?
Yeah.
And if the answer to that is yes, then just do it. You were attracted and magnetized to Tara, whatever format you're listening to this in. You were attracted to this conversation for a reason. I
Right.
don't think things just happen, out of nowhere. So there is something inside of you that needs to be unstuck, and you need somebody to see those blind spots and call you out on them. No, it's not always comfortable, but it is the way that you are going to get better. So
Yeah.
if you're stuck, just do it.
Amazing. I love it. I can't wait to see your 40K months and 50K months and onward from there. Beth, amazing. Thank you so much for being a part of High Ticket Empress. We love you, and thanks for sharing your story with us.
Oh, thank you, Tara. And I just have to say thank you to you too and your team. I mean, I never expected the level of support that I received. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect Tara to know, learn to know my business and what I was doing. I was like, oh, I'm probably going to join with all these other women and just kind of get lost. But I wasn't. I was
Right.
actually held and cared for and challenged in the ways that I needed to. So thank you for everything that you've done for me.
Yeah, you're welcome. My pleasure. That's why I do what I do. I love knowing each and every one of you. So thanks, Beth. We'll talk to you soon.